Welcome to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Gilmore. On today's episode, we're diving into a real mystery, examining the cold case of a 7-year-old little girl who went missing while walking to school with her stepfather back in 2002. He claims he dropped her off at the school playground that day, but teachers say she never made it. Over 2 decades later, her mother believes her daughter is still somewhere out there. She remained steady searching for answers over the years and is hopeful for her safe return. This is the story of Alexis Patterson.
To our missing series now, and the disappearance of a little girl named Alexis Patterson. It was May 3rd, 2002, when the 7-year-old walked to school with her stepfather in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She never made it home that day. That was 20 years ago. No one has seen Alexis since. You may not have heard of Alexis's disappearance when it happened all those years ago, and some say it's because of another young girl who went missing around the same time, more than 1,000 miles away. And it is a case you'll know that gripped the nation. 14-year-old Elizabeth Smart was kidnapped in Salt Lake City within hours. Her photos were everywhere, plastered on national TV. The FBI joined the search and offered a $250,000 reward. But when it came to Alexis's case, things moved much more slowly. The FBI did not get involved until 3 days after this little girl vanished. A week after that, a $10,000 reward was offered. Elizabeth was found 9 months after her abduction. Alexis, 2 decades later, is still missing.
Alexis was born April 4th, 1994. She is described as a bright 7-year-old little girl who loved school. In fact, her mother, Ayanna Patterson, says that she never missed one day. Enjoying activities like reading and writing, she was a very ambitious student. Flashback to May 3rd, 2002. Young Alexis walked less than a block away from her home to High Mount Elementary with her stepfather, Laurent Bourgeois. Dropping her off at the corner, he reportedly says he watched her walk up to the playground before returning home. But teachers say she never showed up to class. As her photo was plastered across the neighborhood with hopes of figuring out what happened, police launched their investigation.
Officers further obtained photographs of the child, along with a detailed description, clothing worn, and any personal items that she may have had in her possession at the time she went missing. This information was immediately broadcast to police units throughout the city, as well as given to the media in hopes that it would generate additional tips and leads. The Milwaukee Police Department continued their investigation and commenced an extensive neighborhood canvass. That included door-to-door contacts, searching alleys, checking vacant residents. The search was eventually expanded to include some geographic grid searching. And if you remember, at one point, the Milwaukee Police Department relocated its mobile command post to a permanent location within Washington Park.
The story takes a turn when some investigators begin to theorize that Alexis's disappearance might be connected to her stepfather's sketchy dealings in the drug world. Bourgeois, a low-level drug dealer with a history, begins to raise eyebrows with authorities. During a polygraph test, red flags start popping up when Bourgeois fails certain elements of the test. Questions concerning whether or not he had any knowledge of Alexis's whereabouts. Later, news surfaces about his involvement in a 1994 bank robbery. Alexis's mother believes the focus on his criminal history back then diverted attention from finding Alexis.
I don't make anything of that because I took a lie detective test too. but there's no telling what they asked him. I mean, I don't know. I don't trust LaRon either. I don't trust him. I don't trust nobody.
Their union wouldn't last much longer after Alexis's disappearance, and soon the couple's marriage crumbles in 2005. In 2021, Bourgeois would die of an apparent overdose.
Yeah, Joyce, we've been working for several hours to get this information confirmed since early this afternoon. That confirmation coming just within the last 45 minutes from the medical examiner's office. LaRon Bourgeois found dead today. According to Milwaukee police, Bourgeois was one of 2 people found dead inside a home near 50th and Clark this afternoon. Officials have not identified the woman who was also found dead with Bourgeois. He was the last person, as you mentioned, to see his stepdaughter at the time, Alexis Patterson, before she vanished.
The plot thickens in 2016 when the unthinkable happens. Ayana receives a tip from a journalist suggesting a woman living in Ohio could possibly be Alexis. She was hopeful she had finally found her daughter after 14 painful years.
Saturday, that woman told me in no uncertain terms she is not Alexis Patterson. This morning, I learned from police in Ohio that woman has produced a passport, a visa, and court documents that all establish her identity as not Alexis Patterson. Everybody, though, still waiting on DNA test results to see if those documents, along with this woman's story, hold up.
Today, I got the results on the media. I didn't get a call till after they released it on the media, stating that Lisa is not Alexis. I don't believe that. Absolutely not. And the reason why is because I just gave the MPD my DNA yesterday, okay? And they told me, the lieutenant, I talked to the lieutenant today, he told me that they matched Lisa's DNA with the DNA that they got 14 years ago of Alexis's. Well, first of all, who gave you the DNA 14 years ago? You never received the DNA from me. What DNA did you use? From a toothbrush? Nah. Give me the real DNA. Use my DNA. Put my DNA to Lisa's DNA and take it from there. And if the test come back stating that she's not mine, then that's when I will accept it. But right now, I'm not accepting it because she's too much like me. How does she have the same mole right here that I have, that my daughters have, and her granddaughter and her daughter have? She has the same birthmark as Alexis had when Alexis was first born. She has the same mark on her eye, the right eye, what my daughter had, okay? She has the same bump and she has the same mole on her nose right here too. We're too much alike for this not to be my child. I worry about my daughter every day. I've been worried about my baby for 14 years. You understand? And then now that I finally got a nice, I feel like a solid clue, you know what I'm saying, a solid lead, y'all gonna tell me that it's not her?
Sadly, the tip doesn't yield the results Ayana hoped it would, but 6 years later, she was still convinced that she had in fact found her daughter in 2016. However, she claims the police are covering it up.
Ayana adding the Milwaukee Police Department never did their own DNA testing. However, News Nation received an email from the department saying they did in fact do a test that did not connect the 2 women.
This is being done purposely. They're going out their way not to connect me and my daughter's DNA because there are higher people involved. People more higher up. So when it comes to little bitty Lexus, little black little girl, she don't matter. She does not matter. She never did.
Nearly 22 years later, and no one has been arrested or charged in the disappearance of Alexis Patterson. Authorities released age progression photos of Alexis over the years with hopes of receiving new leads. And according to the Milwaukee Police Department, they're still dedicated to the case of Alexis Patterson and continue to request the public's assistance.
We don't know that this is a homicide. We don't even know if she's deceased. There is a chance she's out there and just needs to be found and brought home.
At the time, I just wanted my baby, and now I just want my baby.
My heart goes out to the family and friends of Alexis Patterson, especially her mother. You know, it's cases like these that really drive home the reason why I do this. Mainstream media falls short repeatedly, and when they don't, it's oftentimes too late. And clearly we can see the impact that this has in our communities time and time again. Please let these stories serve as a reminder of the importance of empathy and awareness. And if you want to catch up with more cold cases like Alexis's, tune in to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. Join us in the ongoing conversations, so share your thoughts in the comments and let's amplify these stories. Thank you so much for joining us on Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. Until next time.